Today we look at another fundamental part of your programming journey in Unreal Engine 5. Pointers. A pointer is a special kind of variable. It stores the address in memory of another variable. Therefore, rather than holding a direct value of, for example, an integer, it points to a location in memory where this integer is stored. Pointers are essential to use in Unreal Engine because they allow you to quickly interact with different objects of your game environment without the need to copy them entirely. This obviously saves a big chunk of performance. So, how do you declare a pointer? First, you have to provide the data type. This is the data type of the value that this pointer is pointing to. Then you have to use the asterisk to indicate that it is a pointer, and lastly, you have to give it a name. For an integer, we could write it like this. With this, we would have declared a pointer for an integer value. Here, the null pointer is the keyword for an invalid pointer, because at the moment of the declaration, we have no valid address for this pointer. A more practical example in Unreal Engine is to use the spawn actor method to create a new actor at runtime. This method returns a pointer to this newly created actor that allows you to execute functionality on the newly created object. What you can also do is to create a variable like normal without indicating that it is a pointer. Next, you can access the memory address of this variable by using this operator. This might be helpful, for example, if you have a big object with a lot of information and you want to pass it into a method but without copying it. You can also access the value a pointer is pointing to by dereferencing the pointer again. For that, you have to write the asterisk again in front of the existing pointer. When you now change the value of the dereferenced variable, you can see that also the value of the original variable gets changed. This basically happens since you are working on the same variable which is stored in memory. If you want to execute functionality on the object of a pointer, you can use the arrow operator. The arrow operator basically dereferences the pointer, gets you the real object stored in memory, and then calls the method you provide after it on this object. If we look back at our actor example, we can see by using the arrow operator, we can execute various methods on our newly created actor object. One thing you should always ensure when working with pointers is that the address they are holding is valid. For example, if we write it like this, at the moment of UE log, we are trying to access the value of our integer pointer. However, at this moment, we still have no valid address stored in this pointer. Therefore, it is currently not valid to access its value. So, when you try to access a pointer, always ensure beforehand that the pointer has a valid address. For that, you can write it like this. Because if pointer is equal to null pointer, that basically means that our pointer variable currently has no valid address stored in it. But you can also shorten it like this. This statement is true if we have a valid address stored in our pointer, otherwise it is false. But the safest way to check a pointer is to use isValid method. This check is useful for working in Unreal Engine since a pointer can also be destroyed or become invalid through various game events or garbage collection. So, what isValid does is it checks if a pointer is a null pointer. It checks if the object is properly initialized, and it checks if the object is not deleted. So using isValid reduces the risk of crashing due to dereferencing an invalid pointer. But it comes with a slightly higher performance impact than simple null pointer checks. Therefore, it might be better to use a simple null pointer check in, for example, loops or high frequency update functions. For your first exercise, I will provide you with some code snippet, and for each line where you think the value of x, y, and z changes, note down its new value. For the second exercise, create an add method that takes in 3 pointers, a pointer for variable a, b, and the result. Then add the values of A and B together and store the result in result. Lastly, create a valid function call to your newly created method. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, see you next time.